Welcome back, Hanger Slang,
Welcome back.
to another crazy episode.
Here's the episode number 21.
Number 21.
21.
21
That's
already.
a thing. That is a thing.
We're getting up there. We
are getting up there.
50's coming up soon. We're going to have to do something special for that. I feel like we do something special for every episode, you know?
We're getting up there like Biden's son.
Yeah, he's up there.
He is up there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this week a little bit. We saw Shane Gillis. That
So
was funny.
Very funny.
Very
I
funny.
enjoyed it, Shane. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Shane, good job.
Good job.
Good job making fun of all those.
Also, look at what we're wearing.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Because they're probably
Hanger
because they're so
Slang.
comfortable.
Windbreaker material hoodies. They are they're comfy and I like them. And we only have like 10, 12. I don't know how many we ordered, but
Here's what I'll say. It's real windy in South Florida. You know that? Real windy. So if there's only like something that can break the wind, that's what I want to be wearing.
And what would that be called? Something that breaks the wind.
You know, maybe a windbreaker, but not just any
Oh.
windbreaker. A Hanger Slang windbreaker. Amen.
It's 100. It's the only annoying thing is it's 100% gay proof. So
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to get hit on by any guys.
Mm-mm.
Although it's also 100% straight proof. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how
It's
it goes.
proof everything.
We'll do a trial run and see
Yeah.
how people respond
But
to
if
it.
people do come up to you and try to sexually assault you, it's because of the hoodie.
Yeah, 100% sexual assault.
Because they're so like hot. So,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm hot here right now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
South Florida heat, it's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming back.
It
That
is coming back.
short winter we had, I wish it was back already, but we gotta wait that one out. So yeah,
Want to introduce our guest?
let's introduce our guest. Why don't we? Used to work with him in the restaurant industry. Haven't spoke to him in a while. He recently hit me up and we started talking. I said, wow, what an interesting guy. So here he is today. Everyone please welcome Matthew Ruiz. Yeah, pop those headphones on. Get it going.
Hello.
Hola.
A new voice on the mic.
I know.
Every time.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
How
We're
you
having
doing?
not an orgy.
No,
Definitely not.
not yet.
We don't even have a soggy waffle in the middle here, so
So Matt, what's up? What's up with life?
Just got out of rehab.
Congratulations.
Out of rehab. Thank you.
You're out of
Thank you.
there.
Well, actually, just got out of jail
No.
3 months ago.
No.
okay. I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been for the past 3 years.
We also just met. So
Yeah,
okay.
right. But for the past 3 years, I've pretty much just been in and out of institutions, in jails and rehabs.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much just, for the most part, just been my life. So it's just kind of become normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just got out of rehab.
Interesting. How long were you in there for? And how long are you usually in there for?
So, usually for a month. So I was in rehab in Louisiana for a month.
Louisiana.
Because I went up with my ex-girlfriend, and she ended up dropping me off and overdosing, then going to jail. And she's been in jail, and I haven't spoken to her in 3 months.
Whoa.
So, yeah, I was in rehab for a month in Louisiana. I got out, went to a halfway house, had $700 in my bank account, and I was like, you know what? You know what'd go well right now? Some crack, meth, and heroin.
Oh
And
my
some
gosh.
fentanyl.
The
So
the three-peat
just
right there.
the fucking 3-piece and a soda.
LeBron, Wade, and Bosch.
Yeah, it's the big three, So, and so basically I'm sitting there, and I have this girl over in my halfway house, right?
Yeah.
And we're sitting in the bathtub,
Yeah.
right? And I'm smoking crack. I'm fucking, we're doing our thing
You're
and
doing
shit.
your thing.
And like she looks at me and she's like, I'm 16.
Wait,
Oh.
this is who?
This is just some girl that I knew. I thought she was 18.
Oh.
First
Oh,
off.
that's,
okay.
Don't we all?
Okay, I don't know. Please don't come for me. But 911. But any whore. And so she says I'm 16, and I'm like, no. But then I look at her and I'm like, Yes,
Yeah.
you are. You are 16. You are 16, right? You know what I mean? I'm like, do you want some crack? She's like, no, I'm 16. She's like, no, I'm 16. I have high school tomorrow. I'm like, are you serious? She's like, yes. I thought you were joking about that. And we've been in the bathroom for 3 hours, steaming up. I'm smoking crack, shooting up, fentanyl and shit.
Fuck,
and she's
dude.
like, she leaves out of nowhere, and I'm like, did I do anything wrong? And she's like, dude, you're a fucking junkie. You're a crackhead. I'm in high school. I'm like,
Yeah.
you never told me this.
You're
Yeah.
learning about crack tomorrow in science.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
my
what
gosh.
she's learning about
Yeah,
the chemical
exactly.
compounds.
Yeah.
Wow.
So-
that's a lot.
Yeah, that's I when drugs enter my system, I have a what's the word? I have this like allergic reaction where I turn into an idiot. Right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, usually like this one time I was in Pompano,
Yeah.
right? And I was on fentanyl, right? The good old fentanyl.
Classic.
Classic. God bless America. Rehabs, public schools, water parks, and porn. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. But anyways,
Yeah, don't mind the plane.
don't mind. Yeah, the plane shouldn't mind us.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
We've been writing them about it. They
Yeah, you
haven't
gotta
gotten
stop
back.
flying.
Yeah. Like,
At
dude,
the airport.
Yeah.
From
Right.
this time to this time, you can't fly.
Run around
Yeah.
podcast.
Exactly. The Hanger Slang podcast is just too important for these planes to be.
Right.
Doing their thing.
Glad you're on the same page as us.
Of course.
So you're in Pompano. I've seen a lot of needles around Pompano.
Right.
You, for sure. For
Oh,
sure.
oh yeah. Well, yeah. I was in Pompano, and basically, I don't even know how this comes about, but I bang on this person's door because they said something to me, and so like this Haitian guy with the machete starts chasing me, and I'm running,
my.
and he's like speaking Creole to me and stuff, and like I drop my glasses, so I pause.
Yeah.
We pause right there. I'm like, pause. I'm like, I left my glasses. He's like, no. I'm like, I insist. Please let me go get my glasses. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's just pretty much just like not budging.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
just like no.
Get out
He
of here,
doesn't
dude.
even
Right.
mind your eyesight at this point.
He doesn't even care about my eyesight.
No,
my
that's
gosh.
so inconsiderate.
Very inconsiderate.
And it was just because you knocked on his door.
Well, I'm more.
Eh.
Maybe he happened maybe to be with his wife, and they were walking by, and I said something, and I didn't like what they said back, and I punched on his door, and he came out with a machete. But still, that still doesn't mean you shouldn't
It's like,
be
remember me?
considerate of my eyesight.
Remember that
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, let him get his
So
glasses.
remember that 16-year-old girl? It's my daughter.
Comes full circle.
It came up. That's
Wow, man,
hilarious.
that's crazy.
No, that's hilarious.
Well, let's step back here a second.
Yes.
And we met at Bow Campers.
Yes.
Are you still in the restaurant industry? Yeah, so we met at Bow Campers, restaurant industry. Are you still doing that type of work, or has it been kind of hard keeping stuff with all the rehab?
Oh yeah, I mean, for the past 3 years, I mean, I've just been in and out of jobs, not because I get fired, just because I'm like, I go to GM, the general manager, and I'm like, I'm going back to rehab. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
every single team's like, okay, whatever, go. And so right now, I just had an interview at a customer service for like a pool installation company, which is a 9-to-5 job, which I think it'll be good for me.
Yeah, it's a big business down here. Everyone
Yeah.
wants a pool.
No, yeah, and definitely like at a restaurant. It's like the schedule's all over the place, and for me, like I'm in recovery, so I need to go to meetings. And if I don't know my schedule, I won't be to go to meetings, work with the sponsor, and do all that stuff. So I think like a 9-to-5 job would be good.
Yeah, totally. Has it? Where do I want to go with that? Would you say addiction, right? When would you say you have a personality type for addiction, or it's more of a gratification that you get from it?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. So, addiction itself, genetically, the qualifications to be a drug addict, right? The criteria, or the prerequisite, rather, is like 50% is genetics and 50% is environment, right? So
Yeah.
in my family, there's a lot of drug addicts. There's a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? But also in my family, there's, my sister went to Stanford and my brother's a lawyer.
Wow.
But then on the other side, like we have a lot of people that have been addicted to, crack and, opioids. So I think addiction, a lot of it is genetic. but what comes with addiction are cross addictions, right? Like for me, like I'm addicted to drugs,
Yeah.
right? I'm a trash can. I like all types of drugs, but on top of that, I'm a raging gambling addict,
True.
right? And I just my problem is I have a void, right? You know what I'm saying? That's just the basis of being an addict.
Got you.
And I try to fill that void with external things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whether that be girls,
Yeah.
money, sex, gambling.
It's kind of crazy how like you feel like you have a pretty put together stance on it, and it seems like for the most part you're a put together person.
Right.
It's not really what you'd expect from like, you know,
Yeah.
a person who's shooting up or doing crack, you know?
No, yeah, I know. It's like when I first went to rehab, I was scared.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was like 18. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna go to rehab, and like there's gonna be like Juan Pablo over here with the knife ready to fucking like stab me, which I have been stabbed, but that was later in life.
Yeah.
But no, when I go to rehab, I mean, you know, you would never guess there's neuroscientology, whatever, you know, I don't know the exact,
Neuroscientologist.
Scientologists, whatever, quantum mechanics, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And there's just like, you know, surgeons that are alcoholics. I mean, you have dope addicts that are dentists. I mean, it's like, you know, addiction does not discriminate.
Yeah,
You know
it's a
what I
lot of it's crazy because people don't understand. There's a lot of functioning drug addicts out there. you know, that are doing crazy drugs, and then they're going and doing a pretty successful career. You know?
Exactly. I mean, well, and I played football in college.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And that whole time, granted, I did get kicked out twice. Well,
Yeah.
the first time I got kindly asked to leave.
What college?
It was this small little school.
Florida?
No, in Kansas. It's called
Kansas.
McPherson.
McPherson, Kansas.
McPherson. Goddamn Kansas. There's nothing to do out there except for, like, like they'd get drunk and I'd get drunk on fentanyl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you'd
Because,
match them.
Yeah, exactly. And like these people don't know that I'm on fentanyl because I don't know. For me, on fentanyl, like it has this effect on me where I get drunk. Like I will
Really?
get like drunk
Without having to drink.
No, without having to
Yeah.
drink, and everyone's like, "Dude, this guy's a fucking beast."
It's like, dude, I didn't even see him kill anything.
Coming up, man.
He hasn't even
Chilling,
been
it's
drinking
chilling.
all the- That's crazy, dude. So like, how did you get introduced to like these heavy drugs? You know, at such a young age. Because I mean, how old are you now? 21.
I am 21.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I was a late bloomer,
Really?
right? Relatively, like you meet a lot of drug addicts and like their brothers are blowing crack smoke into their faces when they're like 10 years old. You know what I'm saying? That's just not my story.
Yeah.
You know, I was a shy little kid,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I didn't even like was afraid to talk to girls until I was like 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then once I got into high school, I started going to parties. And the only way that I could function at a party and be social is I had to smoke weed or drink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then it turned into Xanax, right? And so, but in Xanax, that was my shit.
Yeah, that was the next step up type
Oh, that
of
was
thing.
that was my shit. I took Xanax, went to parties. Everyone thought I was drunk on alcohol. No, drunk on Xanax. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Blacking out. And then I had a friend named Jonas in high school, and we were seniors, and I snorted a line of cocaine in the bathroom for the first time. And he was like, "Dude, you gotta try these perks, right? Perk 30s." And I'm like, "Dude, that's some junkie shit, right?
Yeah,
That's some drug
yeah.
addict shit. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
try no fucking perks." You know what I mean? I'm a bartard. All right, I'm classy.
It's
Right?
classy.
I do drugs like a gentleman. I put on a suit, my top hat, and I smoke crack. Anyways, and so yeah, he's like, "Dude, you gotta do perks." And I'm like, "That's some junkie shit."
Yeah.
That's some junkie shit. But then until like I snorted a line of perk 30s, and I was like, "This is life."
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like this is it.
Yeah.
Like I've been reborn.
Mhm.
You know, this is why I live now. That type.
And
of
was
thing.
it really instant like that? Like right when you took it for the first time?
What did it
you
feel
were
like? It felt good?
The what?
Yeah,
The
how was
perk?
the high of the perks?
Snorting it.
Well, okay, so a lot of people like to think that heroin and fentanyl are different than Percocets, but they're not. They're just a lot more potent.
Okay.
Right. So
Got you.
like okay, perks are just pharmaceutical heroin,
Okay.
right? That's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
what they are, especially perk 30s. So when I mean the perk 30s are just the best high. They're just so expensive,
Yeah.
right? Because of how good the high is and how the doctors aren't prescribing those pills anymore, right? Because of the opioid epidemic, and that's why a lot of people are going to fentanyl and heroin,
Yeah.
right?
No, and that's crazy. Like, it's like they can't get the safer, more expensive drug, so you know they got to turn to the cheapest thing they could find.
Oh.
Which-
Little wonky.
So yeah, that was like kind of the story with yourself.
Yeah.
Is I mean, it came down to money.
Well, it's funny. I went to rehab for the first time for snorting perk 30s, right? Just straight up perk 30s.
Yeah.
I ended up leaving rehab, learning how to do drugs better.
Wow.
Straight up. I left there and like, you know, I would hear guys talk about shooting up, and I was like, you know, I'm 18 at this time, so I'm like, you know, I know I'm a drug addict, but I'm not really like these guys, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Peasants, you know, whatever. And then I leave in like, you know.
Kind of like grew an interest to you. You're like, what
Yeah,
are these
I'm like,
people?
I like getting high. Needles sound, you know, I've never been a fan of them, but you know, I finally started shooting up. I went to Walgreens and I asked for insulin needles, and I thought they were gonna say no, but they're like, oh, okay, here, yeah, go ahead, you know, which is kind of like, oh, well, all right,
It worked.
you know, yeah, exactly. It was like that, and then I shot up, and like, man, like needles are just, it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just different. Like, at this point, when I get cravings, because that's what it is, the phenomenon of being an addict is you have the phenomenon of cravings and the mental obsession. And when I have those physical cravings and that mental obsession, I almost don't even crave the drug anymore. I crave the needle. You know what I mean? I crave seeing the blood go back into the rig.
Wow.
And I crave pushing it in. At this point, when I get cravings, I don't even want to shoot heroin or, I mean, I didn't want to shoot heroin or meth. I mean, that shit's like amazing, you know what I'm saying? but it ruins my life, you know, whatever, you know, judge their enemy, you know. But like, I've done this before, like in recovery, like I will shoot hot water into my blood just to feel something. Hot water, no. It's crazy. No, I'll get a cup with water, put lemon in it, some salt, put it in the microwave, heat it up, and you feel the rush, you feel the taste in the back of your throat.
Really?
Yeah, when you do heroin, the tar heroin's really like it has this taste. It's an acquired taste, whatever, and you taste it in the back of your throat. You would think it's nasty, but I mean, not when you're getting high.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Go to like it, you're just like familiarity.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you do coke and you get the drip. You know?
Yeah. No, same thing. Got you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. So it's more like the act of doing it that you're craving rather than, you know.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, you know, shooting up meth is like, I love the first 3 hours of meth.
All right, so give me like an experience. Like, how do you experience meth? Like, what does meth do for you?
So I've never smoked meth, snorted meth, because I'm classy.
Classy.
Like he said.
I'm classy.
Yeah.
But shooting meth, I mean, look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I came in my pants.
Oh my gosh.
More like pre-jizz in my pants.
Okay.
Literally, like takes your breath away. Just like electric chair automatically takes your breath away.
Wow.
Come in the pants, all that shit.
Wow.
And I'm literally like, there's like, somebody hold my hand, please. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody please. Like, it like takes your fucking breath away.
Wow. And you didn't even have anyone there saying, "Are you done yet?"
I actually, every time I've done meth is with somebody.
Really?
Yeah. And so, like, with guys, too. Like, these guys are, like, witnessing me, like, orgasm in my pants. And, I mean, it's not only an orgasm of, you know, the fucking cack, but it's also, like, of the whole body.
The whole body,
Yeah, it's a whole body thing. I mean, your brain sizzles back and forth and whatnot.
Wow. And how long does that last?
Oh, I mean, you could be up for days.
Really?
Luckily for me, I take Xanax on the come down because, man, after, like, being up a full day, plus the meth,
Yeah.
you know, I start to go into psychosis. So, like, I'll see, like, the shadow people. I'll start checking under the couch, just, like, you know.
Really?
I think one time I went into the bathroom once, or I went into my laundry room at my halfway, and I'd been getting high, and they didn't know. I was on meth. And I was also smoking crack, whatever. But, and so I see, like an ironing board, and somebody put a hat on the ironing board, and I'm like, I go in there, I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, oh my God, there's somebody in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like whispering, there's like nobody around, you know what I'm saying? So I go in there and I start like punching
Throwing
it.
hands.
Yeah, and like the house manager's like, dude, like, that's my ironing board. I'm like, I don't.
Just having around, dude. Chill.
Yeah, exactly. I had to like play it off.
Doing a bit here.
Yeah,
God.
exactly. No,
Wow.
but yeah, meth is one hell of a drug. The first 3 hours, it's great.
Really?
But after that, it's
Is it like a come up thing, or is it instantly like you're there?
well, when you shoot it, I mean,
It's
'cause-
instant?
I mean, because your blood rushes to
Yeah.
your brain so fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's not as instant as you think. It's not as, for some people it's different. Some people as soon as they push it in, like they might not even be finished pushing the whole shot in, but as soon as they push a little bit in, they're just like, you know, like a fucking fishing out and shit.
Yeah.
But for me, it takes like 15 seconds, like to go up the brain, my brain to realize the
chemical.
the neurochemistry, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
the verbiage is, but
Yeah.
and so yeah, it takes me about 15 seconds, and then my brain starts to sizzle back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just start to have like an exorcism
Yeah.
for the most part, and that's only with meth.
But like a really enjoyable
A
exorcism.
very enjoyable
Hmm.
exorcism.
Wow.
Yeah, for the most part.
And how does that compare to heroin? Like your experience?
It's, I mean, we're pulling hairs here or whatever.
Gotcha.
Whatever.
No, I mean if it's similar, that's
well,
just.
no, it's not similar.
I'm not as classy as you, you know. I
right.
need
You're
to
not. You're
kinda-
not as, you know.
I need to
not-
kind of learn the ropes here.
Yeah, you're not a class act.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? But I mean, heroin and fentanyl. I mean, you get the rush and it's like really euphoric and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as euphoric as meth, but the high of fentanyl and heroin is better than the high of meth.
Okay.
Right. But like that's like, it's just the truth because
Yeah.
scientifically that's what it is. So like, I was watching this doctor lecture and it was like meth, the amount of dopamine and serotonin that rushes to your brain is higher than any drug, any orgasm combined, or not combined, but like,
But yeah.
it just blows them out of the water. And
Wow.
I never really believed it. I was like, oh, whatever. Until I tried it and I was like, yeah, like that. It was a
Damn.
spiritual experience for me.
Really?
You know? But I consider myself an opioid guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's what I started out on was shooting fentanyl and shooting heroin and shit.
Yeah.
Which mainly down here, I mean, it's mainly fentanyl.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I mean,
I mean, that doesn't scare you?
it does. It does. Right now, it does.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm sober. I have a clear mind.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about being an addict, is that in order to be an addict, if you're not an addict, you can do heroin and fentanyl and stop due to sufficient reason. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, you know, stop for your kids, stop
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Since I am an addict and I do have that genetic predisposition,
Mm-hmm.
I need something much more than a sufficient reason, much more than something that's logical, and that is the 12 steps. That's finding a higher power. That's working out all of my, you know, my moral inventories and stuff of that nature.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's what it takes for me to get sober. But to answer your question, yeah, that stuff does scare me. I mean, I've overdosed over 13 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've died once.
Yeah.
Like, literally, eyes closed, dead, done. They had to inject, they injected,
Narcan?
Narcan. They injected the liquid Narcan into my blood, and it woke me up.
Did you feel like shit after?
Oh my god, it's terrible, man.
Yeah.
Like fucking so because I had so much fentanyl in my system, and they reversed Narcan reverses the effect of opioids, and because they reversed the effect of opioids so fast, I went into instant withdrawal.
Really?
You know, so I instantly started like shaking and stuff like that.
Holy cow.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it definitely. I mean, and I've lost so many people just this year. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, there's a girl that's younger than me that just died from
Wow.
overdoses. I mean, a year ago, this guy that's like y'all's age, he died. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen people overdosed and dead. I found a guy once that was in my halfway. He got kicked out. He was in his car. And I was in Texas, and you know, I see him there in the parking lot of this Walmart, and I'm like, dude, he's like passed out. So I call my house manager at the halfway. He's like, wait for me. And I'm like, fuck this shit. So I take off my shirt, wrap around my hand, and I punch in the door, or punch in the window, and like I unlock the door and shit. And like I see him there. He's just slumped over with a needle in his arm, and he's cold to the touch.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
cold, right? And so I put him upright, right? And he goes into rigor mortis. If you know what that is, like it's like it starts to,
Everything.
like,
Yes. Everything
Stiffens
extracts.
up.
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Like he starts to like lock up and shit, and like that personally was just terrifying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can imagine.
It took. I mean, going to, you know, every time I go to rehab, you go through therapy, and I had to go through trauma therapy for that, and you know, also just being in recovery. I mean, you just lose a lot of people. I mean, also in Texas, I remember one of my first times in a halfway house, I saw a guy. He hung himself by the doorknob.
By the doorknob.
By the doorknob in this halfway. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what? I'm like, why? It was
that's commitment.
yeah, that is
creative.
commitment, right? And it's like in my mind, I'm like, do you know like how miserable you have to be to like from the doorknob?
Yeah.
Do you know how
Yeah.
easily you could just stand up.
It's like just letting your body go limp. Just
exactly. Like that's not even like a natural body reaction is to just let yourself.
Yeah.
down.
Oh
You know
my
what I'm saying?
gosh.
At least like if you're hanging from the ceiling, like you have no choice. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's kind of like over.
Yeah.
You know, but man, you know, being in recovery, it's you definitely see a lot of things. You definitely go through, and especially in sobriety, more than anything. You
Yeah.
Because when I get sober, life isn't just amazing again.
Yeah.
Right. When I get sober, life hits me, and I have to live life on life's terms.
Got you.
Right. Because when I get sober, my emotions come back.
Wow.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
So
So-
you would say like it's a way to like escape reality for you.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly. And that's what I do though is I don't like to sit with self. I don't like to sit with myself because, you know, for whatever reason or the other, I don't like what I see when I see in the mirror, which I'm getting better at.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
No, it's a hard thing.
no, yeah, and so even in sobriety, I try to escape from reality
Yeah.
without doing drugs, whether that be with girls or with gambling or with getting tattoos or doing whatever. It's hard to sit with myself after going through addiction. And trust me, man, like I've used to be a scumbag, like stealing money from people with cancer, stealing money from my parents, grandparents. I had this one ex-girlfriend stole one of her little brother's cough medicine. Her mother had cancer. I stole her mother's like fucking money. I stole money from that girl. I've stolen money from anybody.
Yeah.
And it's not personal. It's just business. You know what I mean? And it's simply,
Yeah.
I mean, like when I'm addicted to drugs, so what happens when you get addicted is like the addiction becomes part of one of your primal instincts, which is as humans, we want to reproduce, right? We want food, shelter, we want water.
Yeah.
When you get addicted, there's a fifth thing that's added into that, and that's our drug of choice.
Well.
So just think about it. You know what I mean? Because I would lie to sleep, right? I would lie to get food because it's just natural. I need it to survive. I would lie to survive.
But now you're lying to get
To
high.
get drugs because drugs are one and the same as
Wow.
surviving.
Wow.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
It's built into like my physiology now.
Mm.
And so, yeah,
Wow.
it's not personal. It's just business. I mean,
Yeah.
but then that's the addict, Matthew talking, right?
Yeah.
Me as an addict, I will lie to
Mhm.
get my drugs, and I will steal from anybody. I've even gone to the point where my parents are like, if you don't stop, we're going to kick you out on the street. I said, Mom, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I'm just not ready. I'm not ready to stop getting high. I overdosed in the hospital. She said, are you ready to go to rehab? I'm like, fuck no. She's like, okay, you brought your stuff. Get the fuck out the hospital. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? And I lived on this dope dealer's couch in Miami for a few months. And then I finally was like, I mean, I got down really skinny.
Yeah.
And I'm a skinny guy myself. I got down to like 155.
Yeah.
Which is, I haven't weighed that much since I was like in like the 7th grade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to get to 155.
No. Yeah, I mean.
No, you're a bigger guy.
Yeah, a lot of my family, my family's like thick people. I'm like
Yeah.
the only skinny one.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why I weigh that much. But yeah, man, it's
So how do you create outlets for yourself?
outlets.
Yeah.
And what?
Would you say you try to distract yourself from urges, or you just like what's your method for like fighting back against
Right. So what I do is what's supposed to happen in recovery is I'm supposed to pick up the phone and call my people that I have in my sober community, right? My sober connection.
Yep.
Support.
Yep.
Right, which would be friends, my sponsor, right?
Probably got a lot of numbers by now.
I do. But usually what I do is I play the tape through, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I know I want to get high, I know it feels great, and I'll lie to myself, right? I'll be like, oh, it'll be different this time. It never is, right? I always end up in the street, jail, rehab, always rehab if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Okay, and I just play. And this happens all the time. It happens yesterday. I wanted to go get high. I lied to myself. I was like, you know what? I can get high, but I have a fast metabolism. I can get the fentanyl out of my system
Yeah.
quicker,
Yeah.
and
You start reasoning with yourself.
and then in my mind I'm like, but crack, I can get that shit out of my system in 7 hours. If I shoot coke, maybe even less than that.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get high. I'm gonna go to LA Fitness, sweat it out, drink a bunch of water, pass the drug test, and in theory that works because I've done it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that has fucked me, is that I've done it before.
You've kind of outplayed the system.
Exactly. But it's only worked once of like, what, 12 times, 13 times that I've tried it?
Yeah.
And every other time I end up, the plan never goes through.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always keep on using,
Yeah.
naturally, because I'm a junkie, I'm a drug addict, whatever. and so it just never.
How long did it take you to get that like lighthearted mentality around like being a drug addict?
Oh, quick.
Really?
Quick. I mean, I've always been. I gotta fix this shit.
Yeah, that's all right. Take your time.
Jesus. Man, this is like doing fucking-
Chilling.
We've had some guests with some pretty bad problems with that, so
Doing like acrobatics in this motherfucker.
It's freaking hot, dude.
it is.
It's harder
Hard.
than
my
the fucking
gosh.
witch's tea. God damn.
And then flip it
Oh,
over.
there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. I've always been like.
Seems like you're comfortable with it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm an open book, man. I mean, almost to a fault.
Yeah.
Almost to like people are like, you should not be joking, right? I'm being too facetious about my addiction, but I'm not. I mean, I am, but like.
You're just being real about it, I would say.
I mean, but and that's also my thing, and that's also an escape for me personally. Is I deflect by humor.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's happened my whole life. It's been instilled in me since I was 5 years old. Because, there were things with my uncle,
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And so I learned to deal with that by joking about it, right? That was my thing. And so growing up, that was my thing too, all my pain, misery, whatever. I would just joke about it. Not because, it's actually funny, but because that's the only way I know how to deal with
It
things.
feels better.
You know what I mean? It feels good to laugh at it, to make
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Make sad of it?
Right, exactly.
I'd rather, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to like sit here and like, boo-hoo, be a Debbie Downer, so it's just like, of course I'm gonna be light about it, it's.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you can have serious thoughts of it, but still make light of it just to feel better. Like, I think that's very, very valid.
No, yeah, for sure. Like, and that's something that like I've had to work on too, is that like in rehab, they're although I just joke the whole time.
They don't they don't like that,
No,
do they?
no, they don't like it at all. Like they're like, be serious, man.
Like-
And I'm like, I'm
But I mean,
like-
would you say it's like part of you too is just like you're joking? Like you probably joked about stuff your whole life.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's just a huge part of you.
no, yeah, I'm just.
So
I'm,
even sometimes when you're making fun of something, it's like something you would do normally,
Yeah.
even when
Right.
you weren't. And they're just like, hey,
Exactly.
no, why are you deflecting?
right, exactly,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
like you're saying something
exactly.
serious in a funny way.
Yeah, it's, which I mean, but I guess to a certain degree, I do agree with them. Whatever, like I do got to get more serious, or and I have going through rehab over and over and over again. I mean, it gets less funnier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The first time it was hilarious. Second time it was really funny. The third time it was.
I'm running out of jokes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's funny. I say this and like, I'd like to think that maybe I'm funny, but like in rehab, I'm just hilarious. I don't know why. In
You're
the
the guy,
therapy
man.
groups, dude, I'm fucking spin jokes,
Zingers,
out,
dude.
all day long, man. And they're
Yeah.
like, you should be a fucking stand-up comedian. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm only funny in rehab. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not funny anywhere else. Like, that's just.
No,
that's
you're
my-
funny, dude.
Yeah,
you're
you
funny.
are a funny guy.
God bless
Honestly,
America.
we've been going to this place called The Hog, and they do like Monday night like amateur stand up.
Yeah,
If you'd want to go like next Monday,
dude, that's so sick.
it'd be funny. Everyone just goes up, does like a 5-minute set, then
Yeah.
just next.
So crazy.
Yeah, no, I oh my god, I can go up there
And it's
go,
a room of like 10 people. So if you're
Yeah?
bombing, it's funny. If you're not, it's funny.
I could
Yeah.
go up there and talk about. I have some-
Literally.
Dude, you have a lot of material.
No, I have
Yeah.
some really funny jail stories.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, like literally, like I thought I was on acid the whole time. I mean, but I'll tell you one.
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully this doesn't. What kind of audience do you guys have? An audience that is like
We have a very mixed
very
audience.
mixed audience.
Yeah.
So okay.
No one's listening to this to hear any clean like
Right,
story, like
right.
anything that's very.
You guys brought me on.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
and I'm not, the cleanest person.
Yeah.
You
We'll title it Pastor's Kid Talks About God.
exactly.
But to be honest, I have no idea who watches this. Like, I like who listens to the podcast. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't say who. Like,
Yeah.
we
whoever
could have
wants
someone
to.
from like, it's a pastor that just watches us all day,
Right.
or we could have
That'd be
just
pretty sick.
yeah, that'd be
Or a
dope.
bunch of rehab
Pretty
guys.
killer. Yeah. A guy from like Uganda.
Yeah, never mind. Never mind. I'm not
No.
gonna try.
So you're in jail.
Oh.
Thought you got away from that one.
Yeah,
huh?
right?
If you want
Water
to, we can
parks.
transition to
No,
something
no,
else.
no. I'll tell you.
Okay.
So, there's this guy named Tex.
Tex.
He comes up to me, and he's like mad racist, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just, I mean, belligerent. He's like, don't walk behind the black people, and I'm like, why? He's like, just don't ask questions. You know what I mean? He's like, just don't ask any questions, man. Don't eat behind them. Don't talk behind them. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And he tries to be smart. He's like, honest. He's like the biggest airhead ever. He's like,
Yeah.
Texas talking. He's like, Matt, somewhere down the line, black people learned how to read. And I was like, Tex, do you know how to read? Yeah. And he was like, no, I'm not black. I'm like, you got me there. I mean,
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
Good.
yeah, and then there's this guy, and I'm forgetting his name. He's like this gangster Mexican guy. He's like, I forget his name. It's probably like Pablo or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
we'll go with Pablo.
We go with Pablo. And like my last name is Ruiz, so like I'm Mexican. So he was like, "Oh, you're Mexican, fool, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like put on the voice. I'm like, "Yeah, fool, I'm Mexican too." You know what I'm saying? Whatever, fool. And and so I'm peeing, right?
Yeah.
And he's like sitting there behind me. He's like, "Fool, you're not working with much, huh?" I'm like, excuse me? He's like, I can tell by the stream. That shit's weak, fool. I'm like, he's like, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, fuck, how does he know? No, but
I gotta get chubbed up real quick.
I gotta get some fucking half chub action going on, huh? And fucking just flick on it, But
Around on
What
it.
about now, Pablo?
just start, helicoptering.
Yeah.
And so he's like, nah, it's okay, fool. I know my stream is weak as fuck, fool, too. It's okay, dog. I ain't working with much. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, welcome to the club. Let's go.
That's
God
funny.
bless America. No, there's just a bunch. Like he was just. There's one time he was banging his head on the wall. He's like telling me how much of a piece of shit he is. Right? He's like, I'm a piece of shit, fool. Yeah. He's like smiling about it. He's like, are you a snitch? And I'm like, no, right? Because like I'm in jail, right? I'm like,
No.
you can't.
Definitely not.
Definitely, yeah. Like for sure, like I would never do such a thing. Me, yeah, me. No. Even though damn well knowing, like if I had to, I would definitely snitch on.
Yeah.
I'd be like, it's that guy. Yeah,
For
I'm
sure.
trying to tell him to stop. I don't know.
exactly. And so I'm like, no. I'm like, no fool, I ain't no snitch. You know what I'm saying? And so he's like, yeah, and out of nowhere, he's like, it's okay to be a snitch, dog. It's okay to be a bitch. You know what I'm saying? It's like being a bitch gets you a long way in her, fool. And I'm like, really? He's like, dog, you'll see. And so he's telling me the story about how he snitched on this guy. He was telling the police, he was like, yeah, this guy, he's a nice family man. He takes care of his kids. He likes God, takes care of everybody. But he killed that guy, and he needs to go away for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, are you serious? And so this guy, and like everybody in jail, like knows he's going to court, or he has a court date.
Yeah.
And so they're like, everyone's like rumoring, like, yo, he's going to prison for 30 years. Oh my God, he's going to prison for 30 years. And so he walks back into the facility, and everyone's just waiting for him. And he gets down, this guy puts on the greatest performance of all time. He goes down to his knees, and he's just crying. He's like, no, they put me in jail for 30 years.
The same guy?
Yeah, they're like, for 30 years. I can't believe it, dog. And so everybody, like, I see these grown men, tears rolling down their eyes.
Oh my gosh.
Tears rolling down their eyes,
Yeah.
right? They all, like, form a circle. They all take a knee. Don't ask me how, because some of them are on work release, right? Because I'm not in prison. I'm in jail. So
Yeah.
some of these guys are like, they're allowed to go, do
Yeah.
whatever, whatever. I don't know, some shit. I wasn't in there. These guys that are whatever. Anyways,
Yeah.
Anyways, they get these rose petals, and he's crying there on the floor, and they start throwing these rose petals, down on the floor for him. I swear to God, like these paper napkin rose petals
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they made.
Yeah.
Like there's some talented guys in there, like origami motherfuckers, just
I bet.
fucking
Yeah.
chopping it up and shit.
They got a lot of time to pick up a skill.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And so, like, he's, like, on the floor, and these guys are just, like, throwing rose petals on the ground for him and shit, like, throwing cigarettes in for him and shit. You know what I mean? They all take a knee, and I'm standing up, and this guy looks at me. I was taking a knee. He's like, take a knee, fool. What's up with you? I'm like, oh, shit, okay. So I take a knee. And then, like, we go back to the bunk, and he's like, I'm like, are you okay, man? Are you good? I heard you got 30 years. And he's like, fool. They gave me 3 months. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, why? He's like, dog, you see how many cigarettes I got? I'm like, are you serious?
Bro, that's funny.
You know, no, that shit was hilarious.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
No, jail. Though jail's for nobody. Like, that shit's like a third world country. Just those stories were hilarious.
Yeah.
The other times in jails, I mean, you're bathing out of, like, trash cans and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, because they don't have, like, running water.
No, it's rough.
Yeah, no, it definitely is rough. I mean, I never want to go back to jail, you know, ever again.
Yeah.
I don't plan to. You know, I guess nobody ever plans to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. No, for sure.
but yeah.
I've only had to bail someone out of jail once, and it was not the prettiest of times.
Yeah.
I was there.
It's a bitch, dude.
It is annoying. It's annoying to bail someone out.
But I bet it feels amazing getting bailed out.
Had to go to this guy who's wearing like 3 gold chains and sunglasses inside.
Well, you
And
bailed this guy out?
No, I didn't bail him out. That was the guy who what are they
Bail
called?
bond guy.
Bail bond. That's the bail bond
Oh.
guy. They always got a couple chains on, sunglasses. So I bail my buddy out, and he was supposed to get out at like 11. So I'm there at like 10. I asked the guy. He's like, yeah. He's like, he'll probably be like let out for midnight release. And I was with a buddy, and I look over, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, do they let all the people out at midnight? like what's going on? And so we waited till like 3 in the morning, and then he finally got out. What I noticed, like, no one cared. They take their time when they're in jail. You
Oh,
know?
no, yeah.
No one's rushing to do anything.
Yeah, no,
there.
they're not like,
Yeah.
they're not like, we got to get on this right now. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna get you out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that Vine that one, like, I forgot, it was like the cat, or like, it's like the dog in the dog shelter.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna get you out of here. It's not like that, you know, they're not rushing
No.
to get anybody out of the fucking clink,
No.
you know.
So we'll kind of slide over to something else. Poetry.
Yeah.
How do we get into that?
So, I started writing about a year ago, and I feel like I've always been good with words, you know, because my brother,
Yeah.
my brother's a lawyer, so he went to school for English, so like I've always heard the vernacular that he's used, and I'm like, wow, those words sound really nice, you know what I'm saying? So I started writing, and then I met this girl from Louisiana. I met her in rehab romance. Which never works.
No.
Never works, by the way.
I can imagine.
It just, especially being in our early 20s, like both of us,
It's intoxicating, I bet, though.
quite literally, yes.
Yeah.
Metaphorically and quite literally, yes. Yes. And so, like, you know, she was a writer too, and she was really good. And she still is really good.
Yeah.
So I heard her writing. I was like, man, like, I was kind of inspired. I'm like, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I want to be better than her.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started writing every day, and like the more that I wrote, the more that I become more refined, right? It becomes less and less like sappy and like, you know, the cloud, you know, this and
More like your true self and how you
Right.
can express yourself.
exactly. Like, I don't feel the need to write a 50-page poem,
Yeah.
right? I can write 2 stanzas, 3 stanzas, and that's it.
That encompasses like a ton of emotion and a ton of.
Exactly. You get the message. I said what I said. Fuck you. I hope you like it though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's just pretty much the way that I write. You know, it's kind of unconventional. I tend to say stuff like, you know, like I've said shit like fuck your God and fuck your religion, which is not very, you know, literary darling thing of me to say.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. But it's like, that's my poetry.
Mhm.
Right. That's just like, in poetry, in my view, is taking a thought and wrapping it in like bubbly dresses and sappy suits, right?
Yeah.
Making your thoughts pretty,
Yeah.
and prettying up your thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just it's a nice outlet, you know, for me to, I guess, express myself. I mean, I don't write to express myself. I write because I think I'm good at it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah.
I believe so. You know, I had this one lady try to publish me
Really.
months back,
Yeah.
but I ended up relapsing. You
Mm.
know, she was also in recovery, but I ended up smoking crack, whatever.
Classic.
Classic crap.
Such a class act. God bless America. God bless America. You guys ever seen Ricky Bobby?
Ricky Bobby, of course.
If you don't chew Big Red, you're a bitch.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Do you like to read poetry or just
I'm dyslexic.
really?
Do you like to listen to it?
So on YouTube there's a poet named Charles Bukowski. He died in the 90s. I watch a lot of this old British guy reads his poetry, and it's very cinematic and poetic. And so I can read.
Yeah.
Guys, don't worry. I can read, guys. Don't worry. But I have a mild form of dyslexia. Like, I can't comprehend, 3 pages. But poetry is easier for me to read because it's, stanzas, shorter lines, stuff like that. So
it's like the Dr. Seuss version of reading.
Right, exactly. I saw something where it was all these books are just plagiarized from the dictionary or some shit like that. You know what I mean? It's so stupid.
Yeah. No, but it's cool being able to express yourself or to express what you're meaning and how you're feeling at a certain time on paper. And I think that's pretty cool. And there's different ways of doing it. But yeah.
No, yeah, it's...
Because, I would say, this is our equivalent. You write, you're a poet. Mm-hmm. We like to kind of speak and talk with other people and, talk about what we like to do and talk about what they like to do.
Right, and, both of those things are kind of one and the same. The dynamics, the mechanism of it is you guys speak and I write. We both are putting our thoughts and input into the air, right? Into this, this vacuum that we live within. And, once I put my thoughts onto paper, it's easier for me to let them go. If I write about a trauma event that I had, this thing with this last ex-girlfriend that I had, once I put it down into paper, it's easier to let go. It's easier to say, oh, that's my thought. That's kind of ridiculous. I made it poetic, so it sounds nice.
Yeah.
But it's very therapeutic to
go through that process.
Exactly. Put it out into the space, right? Not internalize it and leave it, within me, to make it something that's not being held imprisoned. Within me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
Like his stuff.
Yeah.
He's got
Total
some cool
beast.
stuff.
Yeah.
Total beast.
Dude, that guy's a monster.
I just read the other day.
Monster cock he probably has too.
Probably.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest here, guys.
That's a
for
fact.
Sure. I wouldn't count it out.
Yeah.
He keeps it under the floorboards.
Right. Yeah.
It lands on everyone.
That's the heartbeat at the end of the.
Just throbbing cock.
Oh my god.
No, but I read the other day that his death, he was just found kind of on the side of the road, pretty much dying, and no one knew how. Still no one to this day knows how he died. So they put him in a hospital. They quoted him with I forget what they said, but it was it's his brain was filled with something, and it was just a term for alcohol, too much alcohol or something. But they don't really know. They don't know how he died. He gets buried. His brother puts a tombstone on the back of, I think this was in Baltimore, in the back of his grave. He puts a tombstone there. And a week later, a train got derailed, nailed his tombstone off. And so he had no tombstone until 1970 when he finally got famous. And then they moved his grave and
He
put
didn't
a
get
whole...
famous till
Nah,
1970.
maybe it was earlier than that. I don't know. But he was there for a while with no tombstone because this train just derailed his tombstone.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I guess when he was writing, he was just some crazy fuck.
Yeah. No, that's how a lot of people thought of him as. He was kind of a low life,
Yeah, and now that I think of it, a lot of artists what's his name, man? Vincent Van
Gogh.
Vincent Van Ongo.
Wasn't he from jail or from a prison?
Yeah.
When he made the Starry Night or whatever.
The whole.
No, it's the same thing. He was thought of as this,
Well, he was crazy. He had schizophrenia, but
Yeah, had half an ear.
Schizzos, dude.
Didn't he
They're just seeing in other dimensions. Lucky.
Yeah,
Cut it off.
Yeah, he
God,
cut his own ear off. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
fucking
Can you
belligerent
imagine?
acid.
Oh, and when they were moving his body from one grave to the other, they opened up the casket and they said they heard something rolling around in his skull.
It was.
I don't know.
It was his big cock.
That's what I was.
God bless America, guys.
That's what.
God bless America.
Yeah, so he's.
When I die, my cock be buried into my head.
Yeah, right.
Must be shaken before buried.
It's like in his will and shit.
Yeah. So let's shift over to one drug category to another.
Yes. Psychedelics.
What do we think of
I'm actually okay. So psychedelics aren't addicting.
You don't think so?
No, well, the scientific part of it is no, they're not really. I've seen people in rehab for psychedelics, which is beyond me. Because how you can do acid days in a row, which I've done, is beyond me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Once I do acid like 3 days in a row, like my brain is dead.
Yeah.
Like I'm fried.
Yeah.
Like I'm good for a month off life. Like I need to log out of life. You know.
True.
But I have some crazy stories on psychedelics. And this one time I took, you know how they have vials of acid?
Yeah.
I put a whole drop in my mouth.
Yeah.
And what you do with the drop is you put one drop. You don't, because the drop is like this.
Yeah, one.
Right. I put the whole thing.
The whole
Oh my
vial.
God.
Which is about, the guy told me it's about 1,000 milligrams or 1,000.
UGs.
Which is about.
A lot.
Which
Like
is about,
10
About, 7 to 10 tabs. And so I'm like tripping hardcore. And they're like, dude, you know what you need? And I'm like what? And they're like, you need some mushrooms. And I'm like, okay. So
Oh my
I take about an eighth of mushrooms, 3.5 grams. We go tipping cows in Southwest ranches
Dude.
around that area.
Stop.
Go tipping cows, right? We're all just fucking fucked up.
I couldn't even imagine. You
Yeah.
probably thought they were something else, like dragons or something.
Oh, I thought they were like turtles. So I was like, what are these big furry turtles doing here?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. We have a fourth coming on. Please hop on the set, Steven. Steven's late today, so we'll give him a break.
Welcome
but please
aboard.
continue. Please continue.
And then
So yeah, cow tipping.
cow tipping, 10 tabs of 10 tabs of acid.
Yeah.
Eighth of mushrooms, and
Wow.
they pull out this pipe, and I'm like, oh, nice crack. It's crack time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so they're like, no, DMT.
Oh.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. So they're like, you need to smoke DMT. You need to smoke a lot of it right now.
I feel like this was just horrible ideas all
Dude.
bunched together.
All
And
of
it-
them
And
together.
it's a crazy story, though. I take the biggest hit of DMT in my life, of my life, rather. And you know how we live in a 3-dimensional space?
Mm-hmm.
No. No, we do not. We live in a 2-dimensional space. It's gray. Okay, I shoot out of my body and I see myself and I turn into an eagle.
Oh
right?
my
I turn
goodness.
into an eagle and I'm like, holy shit. And I fly out of Earth. Okay?
Whoa.
This is why my eyes were closed or open. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I'm flying, right?
You're somewhere else.
I'm dodging through these asteroids. I'm an eagle. You know how they have speedometers on a car?
Yeah.
Miles per hour? No, light years. And it's broken. It's the light year speedometer is broken. I'm flying as an eagle, dodging asteroids. I see a white light, and I'm on a bunch of psychedelics. So in my mind, I'm like, I can't look at this white light.
Yeah.
Because you know what they say. Once you look at the white light,
Can't come back from the white light.
yeah, you're dead, right? So like, I put my arm over my eyes. May I remind you, I'm an eagle. So I start falling through the
Okay,
air.
so
Oh,
practical eagle.
Yeah, I mean, just the fundamentals of being an eagle is all there,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my
And I'm
gosh.
falling through the air, and I go into this planet, and I see this woman, and I can't speak. Like, tears are coming out of my eyes, and she's like telling me that everything's gonna be okay, and telling me about love and shit like this, and it's nuts. It's just nuts. I'm like trying to speak, like, who are you? What is your name?
Yeah.
But no, I shoot back down to earth, and for a week after that, I'm like really suicidal, and I'm like, fuck, like I'm really contemplating life.
Yeah.
And I remember her name was Alexis. She told me her name was Alexis. And I'm out to eating with my parents, and at this point, my parents know about my drug use, and so I tell them, Mom, I took 10 tabs of acid, an eighth of mushrooms, and the biggest hit of DMT that you could imagine.
Yeah.
And so she's pretty much like, what the fuck, Matthew? You know, blah, blah, blah. But like, I'm like, no, but like, I have to tell you about this girl named Alexis. She's told me that everything's gonna be okay, and that she knows me, and that, you know, but she was so beautiful, but not like in the romantic way, you know. And like, my mom starts crying. She goes to the bathroom. My dad is there,
What the heck?
right? And I'm like, is everything okay? And they're like, you know, we never told you this, but we had a miscarriage, and it was a girl, and her name was gonna be Alexis.
Oh my god.
And I was like, I was like,
up,
what
dude?
the fuck? I was there. I was like, dude,
That's insane.
like
That's a mind fuck
that
right
is
there.
a mind fuck. Like,
And there's
Wow.
always like those like people say like like miscarried babies, whether you believe in like a heaven or hell or whatever, or an afterlife. A lot of people or like a lot of pastors or just like theologians will speculate like what happens like miscarried babies, like what happens to them. And like I've heard stories like that with
Mhm.
babies who have been miscarried, and that's just insane.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
No, I know, and I think it's interesting because
I couldn't imagine what your mom thought when you
Oh,
said that.
I don't even know. I mean, we never even talked about it after that.
Yeah.
Because, it's not easiest talking to mom and dad about the drug
Yeah.
use.
No,
You know what
totally.
I mean? Not like, hey, mom, I smoked like a gram of crack. What's up? It's not like that, But, I think it's interesting because DMT, when you die, DMT is released into your brain.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I guess you have like, I don't know. I mean, these flashes of
Mm-hmm.
envisions and
Probably past life experience, something like
right.
that. Yeah.
So, and I think it's interesting that when I went into this DMT trip, granted on a lot of other drugs, at
Mhm.
a high volume and quantity, I had this afterlife experience
Mhm.
almost with this girl that was gonna be my sister.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and we're waiting for you.
Right. Exactly. Like,
Wow.
where you at, Alexis?
Wow.
Like, you didn't make it. No. Let me.
She's like, get ready, you're coming
You're-
here.
you're
Like,
coming, man.
Wherever I am, you're coming.
Yeah, you're coming soon, dude.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Were you brought up religious?
No, not at all.
Really?
Not religious at all. That's why the 12 steps is difficult for me because it's not a religious program. It's a spiritual program. You have to find your higher
Mhm.
power.
Mhm.
But I've never one. I'm not one to have believed in a higher power previously.
Yeah.
And so now being asked at 21 years old to dig deep and find one is not the easiest task.
No.
Have you been? Did you grow up religious?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. But I totally get the 12-step process. To me, it makes sense. Probably because of my background. But I mean, is it making sense at all to you, or have you? I would say, I feel like with drugs, like you experience a higher power with a lot of drugs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, it becomes my higher power.
Yeah, exactly. And so like when you lose, it's hard to experience that off of drugs if you've already experienced that, if that makes sense.
Right. No. Yes. That does make sense.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is a key difference, right? So the drugs became my higher power, and what that means though is that like, I go to the drugs for validation because it gives me validation,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And I crave it. I think as all humans do, we all want to be accepted, and when I was on drugs, I felt accepted
Mhm.
but that's synthetic. It's not natural.
Yeah.
Right. Those
Yeah.
drugs gave me a feeling that I
Yeah.
wanted, whether that be escaping or just wanting to get high. And it's a little bit of both.
So if you take that with like for instance, like shrooms,
yeah.
like it doesn't always give you what you want. You know what I mean? Like you kind of determine with how you're feeling and how your emotions are, how the trip's gonna go.
Right.
you know?
Exactly. Yeah. On shrooms, man, I've had some great fucking shroom experiences, and I've had some terrible shroom experiences.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in the hospital because of shrooms,
Yeah.
falling up on the lawn and shit.
Really?
The police being called on me. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then I've had some great experiences, like with my boys, just like looking out on the pink clouds and the orange gradient sky, and just like, dude, this is beautiful.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shrooms, it's a mystery box. you
Yeah.
know?
So let's get into like some weird drugs that I've just been thinking about lately. Ketamine.
I've done ketamine once, and I had a great day after I did it.
Great day after you did
Yes.
They
it.
have ketamine for like therapy now, right?
Yes, they have
You could-
ketamine
mhm.
clinics. The only thing with me though is that they use needles, and because you can't shoot ketamine up into your veins because it's not water soluble.
Okay.
But they stick a big ass needle into your thigh because it can be absorbed through your muscle.
Okay.
So like
Yeah,
you
like
know.
insulin does the same thing. It
Mhm.
absorbs through the muscle.
Yeah, and so ketamine didn't really, I was kind of just disassociative.
Yeah.
It made me just be like, oh my god, like, oh, I'm in outer space right now. Like,
Mhm.
I'm a space junkie.
Mhm.
You know,
But you had a great day afterwards.
I did. Very good day.
Yeah.
actually.
Day.
Yeah, it was a good day.
You ever try mescaline?
No, I've never tried mescaline.
Yeah, me neither.
I would love to try mescaline.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in recovery. Like, they don't really test for those drugs, and they're not really addicting. So like,
Yeah.
I could definitely do those drugs.
Well, it was weird because when you were telling me how like meth or like a heroin trip could last, like I guess you don't call it a trip, but like a high could last so long.
Mhm.
Like for me, from my research, like I've looked at like LSD or like shrooms like as non-addictive, not because I don't really enjoy it because I'm on it, but because it takes too long. You know, like I don't have like it's much easier to get addicted to a 30-minute, you know, smoking a joint than an 8-hour thing, right? And so for me, that was like, oh, I couldn't get addicted to this because of a time thing.
Right, because it lasts, what you're saying, because it lasts too long?
Yeah, exactly, because it would take up too much of my time.
Right, and I think, well, psychedelics are different too. Psychedelics, they don't, they're a stimulant, but they don't necessarily raise, like, it can happen.
Yeah.
Depending on the type of trip that you have, but the thing with psychedelics is it rewires your brain.
Yeah.
Right, so different parts of your brain talk to other parts of your brain that usually don't communicate.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But with like drugs like heroin and fentanyl and meth and crack,
Yeah.
Specifically, they're also stimulants. I mean, crack and meth, but they raise your dopamine levels and they raise your serotonin levels.
Okay.
You know, and that can also happen with psychedelics.
Yeah.
If you're up for it.
That's like almost like you're deciding that type of thing.
Right.
Whereas like you're shooting up, you're getting dopamine no matter what.
Oh, no matter what.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, put the hat back on. Where we at?
Yeah.
Hour.
Really?
That's good, dude. I'm good with that.
That went by quick.
You guys been flying.
Yeah.
You good with
Time
that?
really
I'm
has
good
been
with that.
flying. Yeah, anything,
got a lot of
anything
good
you wanna,
clips on
like,
here.
say,
I
or
don't want to say anything.
anything like you want to close out on? No pressure or anything. Just screw the headphones, dude.
Oh, no, I got it. I got it, gentlemen.
Beautiful. Yeah, anything.
Gorgeous.
I mean, like. Listen, yeah. Listen, our audience is like, you know, maybe there's some people watching that are kind of in your position in a way.
Yeah.
You know. Anything to say on?
Well, I think going to rehab for the first time was the scariest thing of my life.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt. And like, I've been in some scary situations, being chased by the guy with the machete, going to jail. I mean, being homeless. But nothing quite as scary as going to rehab for the first time. So I understand, you know, there are a lot of drug addicts that don't want to admit that they're an addict just because of what they have to go through to become not a drug addict. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know, I definitely get it. I mean, because, you know, I am a drug addict. And, I mean, there's no shame in asking for help. And I think a lot of people see that as weakness, especially growing up, you know, personally, me growing up, how I grew up with my father instilling masculinity into me, it was like, no, you can't show weakness.
Yeah.
But going through rehab and going through the system of being institutionalized, I've learned that weakness does not make us weak, right? Weakness makes us fundamentally human.
Yeah.
And so I would just say, you know, there's no shame in asking for help. I mean, you know, we all throw Jesus out of the car. Now in time. That's another story from rehab.
Yeah.
That the frantic guy.
Skizzies.
God.
The
I
fucking-
feel like we might have to do an episode 2 with you, brother.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
for sure.
Literally.
You got a lot
Well,
of
I'll say
stories.
this: from all the crazy shit that you've been through, you seem like one of the most evolved like people I've ever met.
Really?
You seem your shit together. You have a really good head on your shoulders.
Yeah.
You're funny as shit, dude.
Honestly.
You're fun to be around, and I'm so glad you came on. Thank
Fuck
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Fuck
real.
yeah, man. Thanks,
Do
guys.
you publish your poetry anywhere?
No, well, I have an Instagram.
All right. Shout out the
Just plug
Instagram.
it, yeah.
Shout it out.
Fucking
We'll put it in the bio.
We can read a poem before every episode.
There we go.
right?
There we go.
Literally. The Instagram. What is it? Let me.
We
get
can
it.
plug it in the bio
Yeah,
if you want.
it's Matthew _Ruiz ______.
Cool. He's on the underscore
Get that on
grind.
there.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.